and he had just started high school.
Okay.
And he came home one day with this confused look on his face, and he said, "Mom, a bunch of the kids and the teacher from the Pride Club told me that I was trans." And I said, "They told you were trans?" And he said, "Yeah, they said I was trans because I liked pink in My Little Pony."
Hey everybody, welcome. I caught myself another one. Today is going to be pretty awesome. And I really just want to say this first that thanks everybody for always watching and participating in my channel and raising the trajectory of it and liking and subscribing and the bell and all of the things are really helping to get my voice and these beautiful, amazing guests that I get every week on here. So with that, I have this beautiful human that I actually met on, I think Twitter. I met, oh, is it X? Sorry. Uh, and
Twitter.
I, God. Anyway, that being said, that I think that's where I met you. And then I just reached out to ask for you to, because your story is so kind of profound and a lot of what's going on today. And so I asked her to come on with me. And so here's Courtney. And why don't you just introduce yourself and then we'll move on with the interview.
Well, I'm Courtney. I'm 42. I'm just a mom. I'm a disabled mom, but I'm a mom, and I have a 20-year-old who is autistic and a 15-year-old with ADHD.
Okay, great. So you're disabled, meaning what does that
Yes.
mean? Yeah.
I am on Social Security disability for a
Okay.
lot. My spinal cord
Oh.
is a
Oh.
disaster,
Oh, I'm so
and
sorry.
so it
Oh
is what it
gosh.
is.
Yeah. Okay. Good attitude, my friend. So let's talk about your 20-year-old. I think the thing that I
Yes.
spotted with you was that you were talking about your 20-year-old son,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And he's autistic, right?
Very,
So
very
let's talk
autistic.
about that a little bit because that's really one of the things I wanted to. And your other son, is there other a son or a daughter? The other child,
Son.
son.
Yes.
So you have two sons. So the 20-year-old was what caught my eye because that story seems insane. So let's talk a little bit about that. If you could kind of give us a backstory here.
Sure. Well, my son, he didn't speak for the first 2 or 3 years of his life,
Okay.
and so we had to get him therapy where people would come to the house and try
Mhm.
to get him to speak.
Right.
He ended up in special education for preschool. There was like a 2 year program to kind of try to get him ready to go to a regular school so he wouldn't
Mhm.
have to go to preschool. It was at that point, around 5 years old, that he got diagnosed with autism.
Okay.
And so it was, he's always been developmentally delayed when it comes to language and emotional development and communication.
Mhm.
His academics are off the charts. I've never seen a smarter person in my life. But as far as, social
Mhm.
and communication and things like that, it's been a very difficult struggle.
Right. So with autism, gosh, and I just when we get into this, I'm just noticing more and more young people are being diagnosed with autism. That being said, is that one of the traits of autism is very difficult to sort of manipulate in society or social situations, or is it different for all autistic people?
I think it's different for all autistic people because it is a spectrum. So
Okay.
there are people that can function really, really well and understand things, and then there are people that
Okay.
don't speak at all.
Okay. Wow.
So like Rain Man, that was based off of a real autistic man,
Okay.
and so that's something that
Great.
the spectrum goes back and forth
Sure.
between.
Okay. Right. I just wanted to get that for me and possibly my viewers because we're just hearing so much about autism these days. So now here's your son autistic and you're dealing with that and then what happens in somehow he got sucked into something.
He was 14,
Mhm.
and he had just started high school.
Okay.
And he came home one day with this confused look on his face, and he said, "Mom, a bunch of the kids and the teacher from the Pride Club told me that I was trans." And I said, "They told you were trans?" And he said, "Yeah, they said I was trans because I liked pink in My Little Pony."
Oh
And
wow.
I said, "That's not how that works, Alex. I've been in, I mean, I've been in theater and Renaissance festivals and everything my whole life. Like, I have plenty of
Yep.
trans friends.
Yep.
And so I was like, that's not how that works, Alex. That's a
Wow.
stereotype. I was
Uh-huh.
like, that's, and I went on to say, I've always been stereotypically masculine. I like sports, action movies, horror movies, all this stuff. I used to play in the dirt with the boys, and then he goes, well, then you would be trans, mommy. What's going on?
Wow.
And so at 14, his mind was still around 9 or 10, say.
Okay. There you
Um,
go.
and
Mhm.
so he wasn't really processing it, but from that moment he found this group that was willing to dote attention on him and affection and things like that. And so he was like, I want to be around these people because they're really nice to me and they want to include me in all these things. And mommy, can I go to this club? And I said, you can go to the club, until I saw that the teacher was only there for the first minute and then left the kids by themselves to discuss for 2 hours.
Wow.
And that I was not okay with.
Wow.
Because for me, you need an adult to be able to to explain to these kids what is going on. And you've got a bunch of teenage kids in a room contemplating serious issues, about sexuality and gender, and there's no adult.
Wow.
And I said,
Wow.
no. Yeah.
Good
That
for
was
you.
in New Jersey, high school in New Jersey.
But what's happening in the school system, it really does feel like there's something going on that, is
Yeah.
not about school and about something else. This always should be adult supervision in a situation with these are minors, underage children. Why are they being left? Why would they leave them alone in the room?
Especially for a pride club. I mean,
Ew.
that was the
Ew.
whole thing. Yeah.
Ew, I hate it so much. I hate it because
Hmm.
just there is many reasons I don't like it, but that being because of course there's going to be some kids that possibly are gay or even trans, whatever that even means. But I don't think
Hmm.
it feels to me like we're really bringing it into the school younger and younger system and manipulate. So your son is autistic, so he has a different way of being. Do you think there's other autistic kids in that class as well
It's
in
certainly
the Pride Club?
possible. I'm not sure. I
Right.
didn't get that too deep into
Sure.
it. I actually
Sure.
pulled him out of that once I saw that there was no adult supervision.
So now he's coming home and saying, "I'm trans and I feel trans," or whatever that even means. Like, so
Yes.
now so is he fully focused on being trans at this
Yes. Then
point?
it became an obsession. It became an
Ah,
absolute obsession. So he always had issues once he started puberty with his body. And
okay.
so, and
Okay.
everything that I was being told at that time from the doctors was, this is common for autistic people. Autistic
Okay.
people do not like change, and their bodies are changing, and it's freaking them out,
Oh,
and they don't like it.
oh, that makes a
And
lot of
so
sense.
he would curl up in the bathroom and cry if we had to go to
Oh,
a public pool.
oh,
So things like that. And so it was all these things. And so he became obsessed because he thought, if I'm a woman, I'm not me. That I'm no longer me. I can be
okay.
something else. I can be someone else other than me. And
Wow.
eventually I got him to this phase where he was meeting some of my trans friends, and he was understanding that, okay, these are stereotypes, this is not the way it is.
Hmm.
And so and he got to a point where he kind of started to seem to accept himself, and then dropped the whole I'm trans thing. And he's
Wow.
never had issues with his gendered body parts ever.
Okay. Okay.
So those have never
Yeah.
been a problem. His problems are his face and the way that it looks,
Hmm.
his weight, his acne,
Hmm.
and his body hair, which
Okay.
men and women
Totally.
have.
Yeah, all of
So
those things. Both everything you just said,
he yes,
people have.
he was
Yeah.
very upset when I told him that women have just as much body hair as men do in the same places. I was like, I'm sorry, honey.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's
you can
not
shave it.
relegated.
Yeah. I was like, so you can shave it. I can get you an electric razor. You can shave it whenever you want, whatever you want. I'll let you shave it if it
Right.
makes you feel better. But it's like a sensory thing where he said that he feels like when he's got hair, it's like little needles in his
Yeah,
skin.
sure.
So it's not in any way connected. There wasn't any symptom that was connected to I'm female, other than him going, I want to be someone else.
Or the
Yeah.
pink and the what is it? My Little Pony. All of a
My
sudden now
my
you're
little pony.
trans. What? Like
Yes.
this is the thing that's upsetting me beyond belief because this gender stereotyping, I say
It
it on
is.
almost every internet, regressing. We are regret didn't we fix that where a boy can be whatever he wants and a
We
girl can be
were.
whatever they Wow, now it's like immediately you have like pink and you're a boy, you must be transgender. Like this is absurd. So and
Meanwhile, all
also
his
these young
friends are straight and masculine and boys, and he does
oh
all these
god.
boy things all the time. He
Yep.
still is most comfortable in his male clothes. He,
Okay.
I
Okay.
gave him the option to try on female clothes and do things like that,
Interesting.
and he did.
Hmm.
And he was not comfortable. He said, "I can't wear this.
Wow.
This is not comfortable." So
Wow.
for me, like every single thing was kind of pointing more towards body dysmorphia,
That's right.
simply
That's
because
yeah.
it is the facial structure that he's worried about, what his face looks like, and he thinks he's
Oh.
ugly, and he's
Oh.
obsessed with that, and
Yeah.
he's worried about gaining weight because then to him, it's worse, and then
Oh,
all of these things, and it's nothing that can be fixed by transitioning.
that's right. No. That I mean there's
And
many things that
yeah,
can't be fixed from and somebody of
yeah,
his age and also dealing with autism, they're just not going to get it. And when we're telling kids that you can change your sex, because that's basically what we're telling you, it's a lie. It's a total lie. And what happens when they
yeah,
come out the other side and they never change their sex? Who's going to start
yeah.
cleaning this up? That so now for some so from 14 to what age was he kind of dealing with this obsession of transness?
14 to 18,
18.
maybe a little into 19, and then
Okay.
and then
It's a long
we had
time.
moved because after he graduated,
Yeah.
I needed to move for my personal health. My
Okay.
doctors had recommended that I had moved, so I
Okay.
waited until he finished high school, and
Yeah.
then we moved to another state.
Mhm.
He came with me for about a year, and about 6 months into that, started to be very upset about the massive change. And all his friends were in New Jersey, and everything he
Oh,
knows is in New Jersey. So the change was getting to him.
yeah,
And he
yeah.
finally asked me. He said, "Okay, well, can I go? Can I do my college classes at my mom and pop-up's house?"
Mhm,
Because that way I can see my friends and everything
mhm,
else, and then I'll come back when I'm not in school.
mhm.
And as hard as that was for me, I had to agree
Okay.
because it was better for him, to be able to, you know, have less anxiety and less worry and be around his friends and things like that.
Sure.
So I let him do it. But then when he got back there, everything kind of reverted. And I don't know how or why, except that my parents aren't very good with doctors. They still
Okay.
are of that. They're still of that mindset,
Yep.
despite what was done to me
Yep.
with
Yep.
medication. They are still in that mindset of doctors know what they're doing.
That's right.
We need to trust doctors. Everything that they give you,
Mhm.
is safe and it's going to work,
Wow.
and they don't question it. So when I
That's
found out that they had given him estrogen and spironolactone, they gave him both of those medications, and my father had no idea what they were, what their side effects were, that
of
they weren't
course.
FDA approved for these things. And I,
What?
I said, spironolactone is a heart failure medication.
My god. Oh
It's
my
given to
god.
people in hospice, and that's what it's approved for. It's not
That's
approved
right.
for this. It's been used for it, but
Mhm.
it's not
That's right.
approved for it. And there's so many different things along with it. And I said, and estrogen is just going to make him gain weight, get more
That's
acne,
right. That's right.
all of these things that he's not going to like. And so he was horrified. He was like, why would the doctor give him that then? And I said, because you let him go to the doctor. You let him go to the gender specialist to begin with. That's what they do. You go there and they give you medicine.
That's
They
right.
they don't evaluate you anymore. You just go
Nope.
there and say, this is what I want. Give it to me. And they give it to
Wow.
you.
So when he went back, he's told your parents, his grandparents, that I need to go to the gender clinic. And then
Yes.
he went to the gender clinic, which we all know the gender clinic is exactly what you said. There's no
Yes.
evaluation. If you know who you are, which is insane. I don't even know who I am. And I'm 60. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and so they just start handing out. Of course, your parents are going to not interfere. Also,
Well,
he's
it's a
20.
doctor. Yeah,
That's right.
well,
That's right. Yeah, developmentally, he's still 20, so he's still considered
he's
an adult, and I guess he could do what
I
he.
got him to sign a legal document for me
Okay,
that gives me limited guardianship over him
excellent,
when it comes to his health care.
excellent. Oh,
So I
smart,
got that
smart.
done yesterday.
Oh gosh, you're so smart. Yep,
So
that's the
yes.
key right there because clearly he's not making these decisions with understanding all the implications.
No, he
So
doesn't.
now is he on? I'm sorry, am I calling him he? Is that
Yes.
all right?
Yes,
Or okay.
please.
Okay, thank you. No, no, I just want to make sure here. That
Yes.
being said, yeah, no, I get it. So is he on the estrogen
Yes.
still? He
Yes.
How long
He
ago was
is
this that he started?
3 months ago. Three
Oh, it's
months
only been
ago.
3 months. Okay.
So it's
Okay.
still early, so I still have time.
That's right. No,
But
you do have time. So
he's very just he's got the indoctrination kind of going on. And luckily a lot of it I spoke to him for an hour and a half last night, which was great.
great.
I
Great.
was able to give him a lot of information. I was able to talk to him about a lot of things,
Yep.
and I was telling him all the things going on in the community right now as well,
Mm-hmm.
and what he needed to know. And
Mm-hmm.
he was horrified, absolutely horrified. It just upset him to no end that people
Oh.
were being treated like this due to misgendering or things like that. He's like, but I'm a boy biologically. Done. So
Good for him.
I'm not a woman. And I'm like, yes, yes. So he does get that, and he understands it, and he understands that there's a lot of influences now that are not good. What I
Yeah.
did say to him, and I got him to agree to stop taking the spironolactone. So I got him to agree to that. I did tell him that I'm worried about the estrogen causing problems by bringing his testosterone down to zero, and he's still developing in his brain. He needs testosterone for that. He needs
Yep.
a. So I told him, I said, please take a testosterone supplement, a real low dose every other day. Just do that for me, please.
Excellent.
That way
Excellent.
you can still keep your organs healthy
That's right.
and you don't have to worry about that, but you're still getting the benefit that he likes that his skin is smoother, and he says the hair is growing in less fast. So that's calming his anxiety. So I'm like, you
Great.
know what? If you want to stick with this for now, you can, but take the testosterone, like,
Brilliant.
because it'll make you, it'll at least keep you healthy.
Well, it will because these doctors don't know. I'm telling you, as someone who transitioned a long time, I had to figure out my own hormonal imbalances because no one could even figure it out back then. Fast forward today, they're still doing the same nonsense they did to me many years ago. And I'm like, but they're acting like they know what they're talking about when they don't. Hormones are insane. We all
Yes.
know that. I mean, just look at a woman going through menopause. It just wreaks havoc on the body. So they're giving him estrogen, which is lowering his testosterone, which is causing an imbalance in the body, which could also cause
Mhm.
an imbalance in the brain. I mean, there's so many layers. I don't know why they're not talking about this. So, and also somebody like your son who might not understand all this on some level is just taking this. It's also messing with his what you just said with his own making of testosterone, which is his testicles, and they could atrophy on some level
Yes.
later down the road. What if
I
he wants to
I
have
told him that.
kids?
Yeah.
What did you?
They did tell him you're not having kids. That's what they said to him, and they asked him for a sample if he wanted kids. That's what
Oh
they said.
My heart just made a
He
skip.
he said that
What?
they told him they gave him a cup and said, go in the other room and give us a sample if you would like to have kids, because you're not going to be able to have kids
Wow. And then did he do that?
now. No, no, no. He's not comfortable with that's the thing.
Yeah.
He's very autistic, so he's never been a sexual person.
Sure.
And so one of the benefits to him was that it was not functional as much.
Okay, I got it.
So
Yeah,
that was a
I got it.
benefit for him,
But
because
also
it
it
wasn't
seems
embarrassing.
I'm embarrassed the way they presented it to him. Like
Yes.
it's not that doesn't feel very compassionate or like
No.
sit you down, have the convert. Like, oh gosh, this is
Yeah.
how it feels to me. The whole thing feels so fast tracked. They're on some fast, right moving conveyor belt pushing these young people. Why are they in such a hurry? Do you have any thought on that?
The more patients you get in, the more money you make off
Oh
of
my
it.
god,
I mean,
I know, I
that's
know,
all
me
I could
too.
think of.
Can you imagine how
I
I
mean,
feel about it? This is something that really did help me. And I'm not,
yes, it
there
did.
are people like me out there. There's no doubt about it. I'm not the
Yeah,
only, there's a lot of us who struggle with gender dysphoria. But then we have somebody like your son who I'm not even sure if he has gender dysphoria.
yeah,
Hasn't even really been evaluated. So a club at school told him he was trans, and then he just went with that.
yeah. And just because he said so, that's why they're like, okay, well then you are.
Do you think that's why they
That's your evaluation because you said so.
I know that's the
Yeah.
affirmation model, right?
Yes.
Everyone knows
Yes.
who they are. Like what?
Now,
Especially a
they're not
young
asking him if he's having meltdowns and panic attacks over his
there
gendered
you go.
body and things like that and presenting as male. He's not. He's
He's
having
not.
meltdowns and panic attacks over everything else because he's
Yeah.
autistic. So
Right.
if he's got any form of cognitive dissonance
Mhm.
happening in his
Mhm.
brain,
Mhm.
he's in a corner curled up crying and sobbing his head off.
God.
And it's he's not very good at communication, so
Mhm.
he'll one of his favorite phrases to say is I can't word,
Okay. Right.
because he can't figure out what to say and he
Right.
can't explain something, so he'll just say I can't word
Eh,
and kind of
wow.
leave it there.
And then they're just taking this child's word for it that they're trans. So this is why I think we have so many autistic kids who
Yeah,
are trans now. I really think that because you can easily persuade them to transition.
yeah.
Like that's what the problem is with you, kid. Because do you think an autistic kid knows they're different? Don't you think?
Oh, he very much knows that he's different. Yes. Oh, yes. He hates it, but he
He hates it,
knows
of course.
that he's different. So, but it all stems from that. It always has. It's always been that I don't belong
Hmm.
feeling of
Hmm.
from being autistic and being different from everybody else, and his
Yeah.
brain works differently than everybody else.
Right.
He doesn't have the same, like for when his friends started getting girlfriends, he literally had a tantrum and was screaming and stomping up and down the house
Wow.
saying how stupid it was and they should be playing video games
I'm gonna
yeah,
agree with him.
yeah. He was like, why are
Smart,
they worrying about going on dates? They should be playing video games with me.
smart kid. Right
Yes.
on, kiddo. That's hilarious. But
So it's he's always been different, and
well,
they
he wants to
accept him, which
belong.
is great. Yes, he
Right, yeah, he
does.
wants to belong, like, I think all young people do, but then it feels that there's an extra layer with an autistic kid. They just know they're different, they know that and then when they find a group or a tribe, right, they
Yeah,
just suck right into it, which is the trans thing.
yeah. Unfortunately,
Very
yeah,
unfortunately, it's not goth or emo or punk rock or it's something so like,
it's
it's
permanent.
actually permanent,
Mm-hmm.
physical changes, giving kids hormones without even understanding the long-term effects or even actually regulating the hormones. They're not.
Yeah,
They're just
they're
giving
not.
you
Mhm.
testosterone or estrogen, like whatever. And how long do you think it was an intake for this kid, for your kid to go in there? Like they just
He
walked in and
said
got
he
it?
was in for about 20 to 30 minutes total.
Oh
The first
my.
visit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did everybody just hear that? 20. This is not, we're not making this up. I'm so tired of people saying that's not happening. Courtney just told
yeah,
you it's happening with her own child. And a child who has some disability that isn't able to possibly make the right choices without you at least being in the room with him, right?
I know.
What the
And
hell?
and my parents are, they're on my side with this, whereas
Sure.
they're in a phase right now, being older, the older grandparent, we want to give you everything you want
That's right.
kind of
That's
a
right.
phase.
Yep. Yep.
And so they're not, so they're telling me the truth,
But not
but
him.
not him. And so it's very difficult. But I've been trying to, at least I got him to agree to do this, so it's going to be a process, and I'm going to have to go through the court system,
Oh
but
my God.
it's going to be easier that he consents to it and he's okay with it. And he said, yeah, I would rather have you talk to the doctors anyway. I don't like
Wow.
doing it.
Wow. Great.
He
Great.
says he always feels uncomfortable. He never knows what to say, and he never is able to say what he needs to.
And then the
Yeah.
doctor's literally
Yeah.
diagnosing this young person here.
Yeah.
Do you guys all hear what this mother is saying? Like this, he already has a hard enough time even articulating what he needs to say, yet they can diagnose him as trans, and then he can barely even what? I mean, I just am in shock that this is happening to young people. It's not okay, my friend. I feel so mad about it. I really do, because so many more of first off, parents like yourself are struggling. I read your tweet. It was heartbreaking what you wrote. And anybody who has a heart would cry after reading what you wrote. How you feel lost and mad and all the things that you should feel as a parent, and also as a parent to an autistic child. Not but this is also happening to kids who are not autistic, by the way,
Yeah.
and just pushing
It's
parents into saying my kid is trans. So your kid isn't really trans. Is that
No.
what I'm saying?
No, he's not really trans.
He's
As I said, I know a lot of trans people. I have a lot of
That's
close
right.
friends that are trans, and yeah, he's not. He doesn't have any of the same symptoms. Like they all have the same symptoms. They all came from the same
Wow.
exact place of symptoms and can
Wow.
describe them almost equally. Almost
Yeah.
everybody that I have
Yeah.
spoken to that is a legitimate transsexual
Yeah.
has the same experience with their emotions and what
That's
they've
right.
gone through, and he doesn't have a single one of them. Not a single one.
Well, he hasn't been properly diagnosed. Also,
Yeah.
pink ponies or whatever it is, and pink dresses is not a diagnosis.
Yeah.
It's absurdly. That's why I'm telling you, I'm so excited you're here with me today, because I can say it till I'm blue in the face. It's
Yeah.
it's because I did so the thing is that I did transition, and obviously it does work for me, and
Yes.
obviously this is so I get hit from all sides. I get hit from my own community saying I'm transphobic, then I get hit from the other side of the world saying I'm encouraging people to transition. I have never encouraged a young person to transition. I have done the opposite.
Yeah.
I encourage people as adults to do what they need to do. But your child isn't necessarily an adult. Their mind is not capable of thinking, I think, on the
He
same
he's
level.
been he's been seeing the same therapist since he was 10. And this therapist puts him at about a 14, 15 right
Wow.
now, mental age. Yeah.
What does that therapist think about this whole trans thing?
He's not in favor of it. He's
That's
not in
great.
favor of it. His psychiatrist, who barely sees him and only gives him anxiety medication, is on board with it. Which is,
Hmm.
I
Interesting.
I told my parents to change that doctor.
Great.
But as far as his therapist is there to kind of just listen to him. But no, he doesn't agree.
That's
He
amazing in this day and age,
so
because therapists are now supposed to affirm, even if they disagree. If the child says I'm trans, that the therapist isn't even allowed to push back on that. It's
he
so
doesn't
bizarre.
really he really doesn't push back, and
Yeah.
that's a problem that I have. So I want to have
Okay.
another conversation with him where I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
discuss with him why it wasn't even considered that one of the most common autistic disorders is body dysmorphic disorder.
Wow.
Why wasn't that considered? as an option when he does fit the symptoms of that, looking in the mirror all the time, worried about his appearance before he goes outside,
Yeah.
not wanting to go to social functions because of how he looks, like breaking down because he's having an ugly day and doesn't want to go to the family barbecue or something because he feels
Oh,
too ugly to be in public. So these are
so
all body
physical.
dysmorphic
That's
disorder.
right, which is different than gender
Yes.
dysphoria,
But he was
100%.
basically told, if you want to be different, well, then you can be a girl. And that'll make you different. And then you'll be different.
But
But when it comes to surgeries, and he does get, because I made sure of this last night, that it requires the surgeries. And he said he does not want the surgeries.
great. Wow.
So, yes. So, but
Wow.
surgery in general scares him. It terrifies him. I did take him
Yeah.
to go get electrolysis for his
Uh-huh.
face,
Uh-huh.
and he could not go through with it. It just, he had a
Right.
full on panic attack in the chair.
Right.
And so he was not able to go through with that. But something like I'm okay with him doing whatever he needs to do to alleviate his anxiety.
Sure.
But I don't think that the whole transitioning thing is right for him. I think he needs to be treated for his actual symptoms.
Well, that's because you're right. So just so you know, like also
Yeah.
he hasn't had a diagnosis of trans. It takes a
Yeah,
long
they didn't
time.
diagnose him
They
with
did
gender
not.
dysphoria.
They're just
Mm-mm.
telling him, and you're right. There's a difference between body dysmorphia or whatever it's called, right, and
Mm-hmm.
gender. He's more dealing with his physical space here,
Yes.
and how he presents to the world on some level, which could be, I guess, mistaken for trans on some. But does he say I feel like a girl? Does he ever
No.
say that?
No.
So he doesn't even say that.
No.
And remember his first
He says, "I
diagnosis,
want to be a girl."
big difference,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I
I
want
want
to
to
be
be
a
a
girl
girl. But why do you think that did you ask him why he wants to be a girl? Or just
because it's prettier.
yeah. So it's like in
Boys
someone
are ugly and girls are pretty, and therefore he wants to be attractive. So to
yeah,
him,
I see that.
to
So it's
him, girls are more attractive aesthetically. And
wow.
so therefore he wants to be a girl because to him that's more physically, and aesthetically attractive, even though he did come out a few years ago as gay. And
Okay.
so he is a gay child, and we only figured
Okay.
that out because he started having feelings for one of his friends and didn't realize what it was.
Right. Right. It's like
And he
ah.
what is going on? I don't understand why I'm having it, and it's weird, and I don't know
Yeah.
why my heart is racing and what's
Yeah.
going on. And so I had to kind of explain to him what it was, and he's just like, "Oh no."
Wow, that's so hilarious. So, and
Yeah.
again, now let's talk about that, right? Do you think
Mhm.
a lot, not necessarily autistic, but I believe a lot of these young people could possibly
But
just be
be
gay
gay.
kids,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I agree.
And that's upsetting to me as well. What That's why I don't believe kids can transition. I just don't believe it. I think kids might have body dysmorphia or might have gender, they might have it all, but it takes a long time to kind of figure out what's happening here. And as you're growing, everything changes while you grow. The way you look at things, how you interact in the world, what was your favorite food this week could be different next week. I mean, your
Yeah.
brain is also with that, your brain is growing. So to block puberty, thank God they didn't get him before he went through puberty. Could you
I was
imagine?
there. I would not allow it. I would not
Oh,
allow it. He tried for years and years and years,
oh
and
my
I was
God.
like, "No, you are not developed yet. You're not doing this yet.
Oh my
Wait,
God.
wait."
Wow. It could have really just took him
Hmm.
to a whole other level of something that he'll never get out of.
I
What
have a
is happening?
15-year-old that wants to be a fox and a robot. So I mean,
That's right.
I'm not going to take him to the hospital to get metal bones.
Well, I mean, we're like letting these kids do this. You know that kids are all over TikTok saying they're what are
Yeah.
trans animals, and everyone's just
Yes.
acting like it's normal. Where are the adults? And the adults aren't stepping up saying, "Hold up,
The
here,
adults are
kiddo."
going, my head hurts. My head hurts. You're a human being.
Wow. No, I really do feel that there's a lot of
Yes.
adults who are going along with this nonsense and just letting kids. Yeah, that's not letting a kid be a kid. You're letting this kid have some mental stuff go on there that you're not. You have to distinguish it between fantasy and reality.
Yes.
You're never going to be an animal, kiddo. And also, I'm
Yeah.
never going to be a man, only
Yeah.
because I know that because an adult who went through puberty, made choices as an adult. I really understand my whole space. I'm not. That's why I don't think I have a lot of necessarily hate from the world. And let me because they're like Buck's an adult.
You are loved, but
Thank
you
you.
are loved.
And I do equate that to the fact that me and you can have normal conversations, and I'm not trying to hide something from
Yeah.
you, and I'm showing you that people like me exist, and it's important for my voice to be out there. Why this insanity is going
Extremely.
on with kill? But again, my point being, I exactly know who I am and what I am, and I'm never denying that part. And but we're teaching like people like your son that they can change their sex, and that's just. And then what happens when they can't? Is I just keep saying it. It's depressing. Then now going back to you and your parenting. Now parents are inundated with
Yeah.
this, and how do you handle this? It must be so psychologically draining for you.
It's difficult because once they hear something somewhere, it becomes that cognitive dissonance when you tell them something else.
Oh,
So I was
oh,
trying to tell my oldest that with everything there are two sides.
great.
And so when you hear one thing coming from a group of people, there's always another take that doesn't agree. And so you should always look at both before you decide something is correct.
Brilliant.
And so because it's just when you see one side say something and another side say something, I said it's like that way in politics, it's like that way with pretty much everything. So you have to always kind of go and look at both sides and see what makes sense.
Yeah,
And whatever because if it doesn't make sense, it's not true. And
that's
that's what it
right.
comes down to.
Brilliant. Brilliant. But kids aren't being taught that now, right? And I think
Usually.
parent what where also maybe I don't know if you can answer this, but maybe as a parent, there are a lot of parents who insisting that their children are trans
I
without
hate
even
that.
doing any they're doing no research and they're I mean, I
Yeah.
feel bad for them, I'll be honest, because I do think what your parents, right, with his
Yeah.
grandparents, they're just trying to sort of go along with it. They don't want to they want to sort of trust the doctor because we've been told forever to trust the doctor.
Well, I think it's half and half too, because you have
Okay.
half of the parents that are listening to the doctors, and these are usually the parents of the older children. So they're the ones that are kind of like, oh wow, this is new. I don't know what's going on. We need to
Yeah.
consult with somebody.
Yeah.
And but then you have the parents of those that are 2 years old to 6 years old to 8 years old that are going on social media going, my kid
Oh,
is trans.
I
And
know.
it's like, no, you are a narcissist who needs attention. So can you please let your kid be a kid? Your kid is not telling you they're transit too.
No. I mean, your kid is
Your
whatever
kid
your
is
kid's
give
saying.
me a cookie.
Oh my god. I mean, I hate the it's
You
insane.
know, Buck. You know what they're like. Give me that
Insane.
cookie.
God. But I'm just like, really? You're actually saying to the world that your 2-year-old is trans? Shame on
Yeah.
you. Shame on you.
Who's that
I mean,
celebrity that said that his 2 year old was trans
I
and was?
know. I
I
saw
mean,
it.
it's
Oh
insane.
God. Also, there's people out there who say they have 5 trans kids in their
Oh
family.
my
I'm
god.
like,
And
that
they're
is.
trans too.
It's like a comedy, but it's not because I laugh because I don't want to cry, to
Yeah.
be honest with you. Because you know, you know what's going to happen with these kids. Luckily, your kid is old enough, and then you seem to have such a great relationship with your child. You really
I
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's been me and him just dealing with this,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
kind of had to learn how to speak autistic from from his very young age.
Yeah.
So I kind of it's just it's part of me now.
Great.
where I can have these conversations with him and kind of understand what he's trying to tell me. And then when I do, I can kind of relay it back to him and ask him, okay, so are you trying to say this? And are you trying to say,
Oh,
so I am able to kind of get through to him on those levels. And he's very good with concrete evidence and
hmm,
logic and reason and things like that. So, and he's very much, he was horrified when he found out the kids were having surgeries and
wow.
all of this stuff, and he was like, that is not right. That is not
Wow.
right. That should not be done to kids. And I showed him Chloe Cole and Prisha and all of that, and he was just horrified. He's like, no, 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 that's an adult thing. Trans
Good
is
for
an adult
him.
thing. So he does understand the reality of a lot of it, but at the same time, he doesn't quite grasp that. And I was trying to explain this to him, that trans is a legitimate medical disorder, just like autism, just like
Hmm.
anxiety, just
That's
like
right.
depression. And so you have to have the symptoms of it and be diagnosed with it by a doctor. You can't
Yeah.
just say, this is what I am and this is what I want to be,
Yep.
because
Yep.
it's a legitimate medical disorder.
That's right. Wow.
And
So,
so, yeah.
I feel like he does. I do. I'm just all the feelings I'm getting from you. Now, when he went to the clinic, did they know he was autistic? The one with your
I don't.
grandparents?
Well, he got a referral from the psychiatrist, and
Aha.
so I
There you
don't
go.
know if she put that in there. But
Interesting.
if you spend 5 minutes with my child, you know he's autistic. I
But
I, I mean, it's
but
just
they're not. I
it's
really
so
believe
I
that they're not
know.
taking that into consideration when they're
Yeah,
diagnosing. Right? They're just laying it flat lining any kid who walks in and says they're trans, no matter what other stuff is going
and
on.
giving them medicine.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm just no, no, no. Something is amiss here, and something is actually really the people are this. The lawsuits are already starting. They
By the
are.
way, it was you who taught me about the balancing of the hormones and making sure you have that to prevent atrophy. You and talking to Marcus.
Thank you,
And so
thank you.
all of those things, so it made me look into it when I first saw that video a while back. And
Excellent.
so
Thank you.
when this happened, I went, "Oh my god, no."
That's right. That's
So,
right.
and so I was thanks to you and
Thank you.
Marcus together, I was
Yeah.
able to understand that this can cause atrophy and this
Oh
can
my
cause
God.
all of these issues, and you need to have some kind of hormonal balance to prevent it and keep healthy.
Unbelievable.
And
Yep.
so I,
Thank you.
I, I thank you so much for
Well, I
that.
thank you
Thank
for
you for
hearing
having
me.
this.
This is happening so tenfold to trans men, and no, and like I get letters all the time from these guys. I have these weird cramps. I'm like, it's atrophy. I can like, diagnose you immediately. I can tell you. I know
Yeah.
exactly what there's. Do you have estrogen? No. What? I don't want estrogen. I said you have to have estrogen. The doctor
Yes.
didn't give you any supplements. No. I don't. They're all like, I'm like, oh my god, that's what's happening. And so I appreciate that you say that, but a lot of women do thank me because even women don't even
Yeah.
understand. Women living as women don't even understand their own reproductive space because doctors don't talk about it.
Yeah. They don't actually tell you. They
No,
don't
they
actually tell you. Yeah.
don't.
Ever.
It's shocking. Like that should be
No.
one of the first things you should be saying to a woman who might be going through menopause. This is going
But
to
to be
happen.
fair, I did learn it from two biological women.
Right on. That's why we're so me and Marcus. I
So
love that kid so much.
yes, I
Yeah, that's
love
why we're so
Marcus.
attached. He's great.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
He's wonderful, wonderful. So what's the next steps for your kid right now,
Well,
do
I
you
have
think?
to do this slowly
That's right.
because it's been so long and he's so indoctrinated into it
Yeah.
that I kind of have to
Yeah.
take my time with it. And
Yeah.
so I'm aware that it's not going to be easy and it's going to be a
Yeah.
process.
Okay.
So the first step is I just filed the paperwork. And so I have to
Great.
wait for the court system to go through all that. And then we're going to have to go for a judge, and the judge is going to have to sign it. But Alex is
Okay.
okay with it and is
Great.
on board. So it should be an easy, okay, you're good there. At which point, then I'll be able to talk to the doctors and intervene and make sure that he's getting the appropriate care and
Excellent.
actually evaluated properly, and make sure whether he had just simply because his symptoms do not align. So I would like him diagnosed for his symptoms
That's right.
and what they
That's
are,
right. That's
and
right.
then treated for that appropriately.
So you'll have what did you apply for? So you'll have
Limited guardianship
limited guardianship.
with the specific route of healthcare. So that
Oh,
way, I they can't do anything without telling me first.
your consent
Yes.
for his
So
safety.
they have to talk to me about all the visits. They have to, be in
Excellent.
constant communication with me, and they can't prescribe him anything or do any treatments whatsoever without my approval.
This is fantastic. I think other parents need to hear this as well, because I don't think that people can understand they can actually apply for this to help,
Yes.
because somebody of your son's sort of mental space can't necessarily make the choice,
He knows he can't.
which is
He
awesome that he
he
even knows
knows.
it.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
knows.
Wow. And so he's totally cool with you becoming this
Yes.
person in his life, because
Yes.
he knows he cannot make this choice. What is he doing now? Is he living as trans?
No.
He's not. He's living as a
No.
boy, as a guy,
Yes.
a man, right? And then what's happening with his? Is he not on the estrogen? He took
He's
out the
on the
other.
estrogen. He's
Okay,
on the estrogen, which he says has been smoothing his skin
right,
and
right.
ceasing function in places that he gets embarrassed.
Okay, that's great. No, no.
And so yes,
If that
that
alleviates
alleviates his anxiety. So yes.
that,
So yes.
I have no. And also, he's in his 20s. He's cool. Like
I
as
said
long
it
as
was okay as long as he's still taking the testosterone to stay healthy. I thought it was okay. But I did tell him, I said, you need to be careful about your weight because this will make you gain
that's
weight. So
that's right.
you need to start focusing more on your nutrition and making sure that you're good there so that you're not gaining too much weight. And then he goes, oh, if I gain too much weight, I'm off. I'm not taking it anymore. And
Well,
I said,
we all have body
and that
dysmorphia.
tells you too that he's not trans
That's right.
because he's like, I
That's
care more
right.
about my weight than I care about taking estrogen to be
That's
more
true.
female.
I would never stop. The doctor said, "Dude, you can lower your
Yeah.
testosterone." I'm like, "No, I'm not doing it. No,
Yes.
it's my medicine." So I very much I agree. There's so many things I'm looking at this that are like, this kid isn't trans. He's dealing with these external things that I think a lot of people on some level deal with. It doesn't make you
Yeah, he's not
trans.
behaving in any way like any of my friends do. And
That's
so
right. That's
it's
right.
and I noticed this from the beginning and trying to get that through to him when when society is saying, "Oh, you don't need a diagnosis. You don't need
Oh
symptoms. You can just say
my
it."
god. My god. I mean,
It's
What? Who does
That's
that?
the problem. That's the main
Totally
problem.
agree.
The whole self ID,
Yep.
not going through a real process. That is what the
Yep.
real problem is, and it's
Huge.
caused a lot of societal ripples.
That's right.
That's what really caused the whole bathroom debate
Totally.
was self ID because we didn't have an issue
Right.
with that with trans people before that.
Nope.
And
N-
so all of a sudden, self ID comes in, and you have a guy with a full beard
Oh,
you know, going into a bathroom just because he's wearing a dress. And he says, "Don't you know I'm female?"
gross.
No, you're wearing a dress. You're a guy in a dress.
And also, you're a guy in a dress. A real
Yes,
transsexual would never do that. They would make the effort to look like a woman,
yes,
and they would never do that
exactly.
ever.
They would be horrified, absolutely
Horrified.
horrified to go outside with a beard. They wouldn't be able to be inside with a beard.
That's right. That's right. That's what we know it.
So, yes.
That's right. The self ID is of the 100% the problem that started everything. Self ID, affirmation therapy, and a kid knows who they are. All of those things it has gotten us. I've never felt more sort of hated on some level as a trans person than I have now. And I've done this for such a long time. I never had these. Of course, I've always had people pushing against me. That's just part of life. But nowhere near, we don't think trans people should exist. We could stop all of this. That is so scary. And that's
And
because
it's
those
coming from
people,
that. Yeah, it's coming from that. That's I mean, I had seen this statistic where in 2020 we were at the all-time high of 71% in America
yeah,
of
yeah,
LGBT acceptance, and
that's right.
now we're down to 64.
And I don't blame people. I honestly don't. That's why I do this YouTube channel. I
Yeah.
don't. I don't blame you. If I was the reverse on the other side, I would be the same way. I'm so mad at how we are being represented by a bunch of wingnuts. What we're doing, especially to women's space, you know that I'm all about the women's space. It's I don't. I'm not a threat to men in any way, shape, or form. And
No,
these, no,
I've said to several people, I said, Buck don't belong in my bathroom.
that's. Can you imagine?
I don't care what Buck has between his legs. Buck needs to go to the men's room.
Thank you. It's so dumb, though. I mean, the argument
Yeah.
we're talking about people who these new trans people who are like, I have a beard and I'm a woman and whatever, dude. You can have a beard and be a woman all you want, but you can't use the women's room. So
Yes.
get out of women's spaces. And it's so upsetting for me to see that because that's never been who we are ever. We've always
Yes.
wanted to coexist with you and never make a problem. We just want to be these people. And you think we like being trans? I hate it. I'll be honest with you. I don't, this is not something I want to be. It's something I am. That makes sense.
It does. It does
Yeah.
because you don't choose to obtain a
Nope.
medical condition.
God,
It's
no.
it's what you get. It's just it's something
That's right.
it comes with when you're born, and that's it.
That's
And
it.
so
That's it.
I didn't choose to have anxiety. I didn't
That's
choose
right.
to have ADHD, but I
That's
have
right.
those things.
And your son did
I
not
would
choose to be
Yeah,
autistic, and
he
he has
didn't
to
choose to
deal
be
with it.
autistic
And
either.
they're
Yeah,
abusing autistic people.
they are.
I really do feel this. I don't know how you, as a mother of an autistic, but I, as a person outside of this, I believe they are abusing autistic people. I do.
They are. They are because they're not recognizing that they just gender is not black and white.
Totally.
It's that it's I mean, and if you go back and look at the actual history of where it came from, they literally say it's based on stereotypes.
Yep.
It's
There you
based
go.
on the stereotypes
That's right.
of how you present yourself. You know, whether it be dress, whether it be behavior, whether it be,
Yep.
you know, things like that that are really stereotypes.
That's right.
And what was it? Judith Butler said it was a performance.
Yep. That's
It
right.
was gender is a performance.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so you're in a play. Okay.
On some level.
So it's not real. It's not real life. It's you're performing something.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
it's
That's why
it's
these roles are, that's why genders, that's why I thought we got
yes,
rid of gender stereotypes. I thought we were supposed to be okay if a
we
boy has
did.
long hair. But now if a boy has long hair, he's a girl.
The amount of times that they've told my son he needs to cut his hair, I mean, just on the
He
internet.
has long
Like
hair.
I'm sorry, but I have male straight friends that are male models with hair down to their
That's
waist.
right.
So I mean, and
What?
they're big muscular dudes, and their hair is long.
That's right.
So don't be telling me like the whole thing with women having long hair and men having short hair is recent also because
That's right.
we used to
That's
have a
right.
thing where the more manly you were in society, the longer your hair, whereas women would
That's
bind their
right.
hair up and make sure it was put away so that
So
you
good.
didn't see it.
That's true.
And
That is
so
so
now
true.
it's the opposite.
Now it's so that's what people don't understand. Things are always changing this way, and I do believe on some level gender can be performed. I'm performing as a man right
Mm-hmm.
now, right? I know my
Mm-hmm.
biology is not. I am not a man. I am a transsexual
Oscar
man.
worthy.
Right on. But you know, people think, oh, you're privileged because you can pass. This takes a lot of
Yes.
work, my friend.
Oh,
This isn't
yeah.
I woke up one day and I look like this. I make an effort to
But
look this way.
that's the thing. They don't want to put that work
They
in.
don't.
They don't want to
They
do
don't.
it. So and then they
Nope.
get mad when people look at them and say, "Oh, so you're a man. Oh, so
That's
you're a
right.
woman." When they identify
That's right.
something, it's like gender and what we call people is what we're looking at.
Your
And if
visuals.
you don't present,
That's right.
yeah,
That's right.
if you present, I don't care if you're wearing a dress and have long hair and makeup on. If
That's right.
you have a masculine face, you're a man in a dress and makeup.
That's right.
And so you have to put in all of that effort.
And if
Yeah.
you're not, you can't get mad that people I got misgendered half my life as a woman because I was very masculine woman, and so I remember I would get very mad, and then I realized, why am I getting so mad? It's kind of a compliment, right?
Yeah.
So, but these people who are getting misgendered and expect the whole world to change, they're living in some weird fantasy world, and they're never going to be okay with themselves, and they're never going to be nice people, and they're always going to be so angry because they're not going to therapy. They're just, they're
Yeah,
expecting the
that's
world
the
to bend
problem.
over. That's the problem. No one's in therapy.
Hmm.
Everyone's just expecting everyone else to like, sort of just,
They're on social media, not
oh,
therapy.
that's a whole other episode we should do. Is okay. Is your son on social media?
Unfortunately, so I've been
Yeah.
checking it
There you go.
a lot, and luckily, most of his stuff is about video games and a whole bunch of other stuff. Now he does have she they up,
Whatever. Who cares?
and so and I'm like, oh, good, we're still at they. Okay.
Okay. That's right. That's right.
Okay.
I like that
Okay, hold
line.
on. We're
Right on.
still there. Good. All
Right
right.
on.
But
'Cause-
it's he's his profile photo is some anime girl. I don't know. But it's to him though, it's the aesthetic look. He
Also, that's
prefers.
online. That might be his sort of thing on,
Yeah.
right? His like sort of
He
thing
doesn't
to.
use his real name. He uses a fake name,
It's
and
a
he's
fantasy thing.
it's a
Yeah.
fantasy thing. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah.
I just kind of watch what he's posting. So to see, because now I definitely got to, because I want to make sure that he's not posting, things, like fraudulent things, like, the HRCs, there's
Oh
a
God.
danger in Florida.
Oh my God. Oh
You
my
have to
God.
move out of Florida.
Oh my God.
So he did hear, and he was horrified to find out that all of these anti-LGBT laws were actually just for children.
That's all
And
they are.
he's like, wait a minute, that's not what they're saying. They're saying that they're banning drag people. They're
No, they're
saying they're
not.
banning drag shows. No, they're
No,
not.
they're
You can
not.
still go from 18 plus. And he
That's
goes,
right.
why are kids going to drag shows? I
Wow.
said,
See, he's smart.
exactly.
He
Yes.
knows. I think he's just sort of wanting to be part of the tribe right now. The she, they, all that
Yeah.
stuff. It's all online. The problem for me is a lot of these kids take it to the next level, right? Where they're taking hormones and getting top surgeries, and
That's what I'm worried about.
that's the
Yeah.
problem I have is that they're equating their fantasy with reality, and thinking that if they just do these things, everything's going to be okay, and it's not.
See,
What?
his thing is that he thinks that he wants to grow those breasts right now. I know this boy. This boy is going to have to put on a bra and go,
Oh God,
no,
that's
it's
right.
uncomfortable. No, I hate it. And then be like, nope, 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 nope. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. I hate it.
Oh my
And I
God.
know that. I know that.
Why don't you
It's just
start having
because
him
it's
wear a
not going to
bra?
be comfortable.
No, he
Yeah.
won't. Maybe now start putting him in a
Yeah.
bra now and say, "This is what you're going to have to get used to," and then
Yep.
that might actually throw him backwards,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or he
That's a good idea. Yeah.
because he doesn't. It seems to me like clothes also bother him from
Yes, they
earlier
do.
things you said. Like if
He has to wear very loose male clothing, very very loose t-shirts, very very loose shorts,
Mhm.
things that don't bother his skin. And
Right,
so
right,
and they have to be as soft as possible. So I have to get the more expensive kinds, like the tri blends and things
yeah,
like that,
totally, totally.
because he can't wear basic cotton because it itches
It
his skin.
rubs.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
it's
Is he
very
around
sensitive.
other autistic kids by
No,
any chance? No.
no.
Not at all. Do you think autistic kids should be around other autistic kids, or doesn't really matter?
I don't think it matters
Mm.
much. I think it would be good to understand he's not alone,
Yeah,
and he's not,
yeah,
as different as he thinks. And so
that's great.
I mean, academically, he's a genius. He's an absolute
Sure.
genius. So
Hmm.
he can perform the schoolwork.
Hmm.
But if he's worried about a test, he can't go to school because he's in a ball in the corner.
This anxiety spins him
And
out.
yeah, it spins him out, and he can't participate as well in
Hmm.
class. And
Hmm.
he had to get a 504 plan with the college so that he didn't
Hmm.
have to do presentations and things
Right,
like that, because they wanted
right.
him to do that. And he had an absolute meltdown in the middle of the class and had to be
Oh,
escorted.
that's so horrible. It
And
really
so it's
is.
these kind of things that, I mean, he's on Social Security disability for
Hmm.
his
Hmm.
autism
Hmm.
because he's that
It
disabled.
sounds like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Because
so it's like he can do these things, and people are like, oh well, why is he even going to college if he's that disabled? Because he can do the work.
and
It
also he
doesn't
should be
limit his brain. It limits his ability to to express himself and understand what other
right.
people are telling him.
Right. I don't
So,
think
but
that
when it
should.
comes to academics, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I
it's
don't think
fine.
that should make him not be able to go to school. I think all he should be going to school. Also, maybe will help him to learn to be more social. If you're not socializing, you're never
Yes.
going to understand how to even maneuver through that,
Yeah.
right? What a weird question to ask somebody. Of course, he should be going to school. If he
Oh,
can
there's
make it
so
there
many
and go to
things I've
class,
heard.
oh my god, I can't even imagine. I can't even.
just just acknowledging he has autism publicly is me infantilizing him. I love that
No,
one.
somebody
And
said that. Oh
my
god.
son, his timeline on Facebook literally has autism memes. Autism
Wow.
memes. Because he knows it, he recognizes it, he accepts
Yep.
it, he makes fun of it.
Yep.
it's
Yep.
it's it's not just saying, hey, my kid has autism and these are his struggles is not
No,
infantilizing.
it's actually you're a great parent. I'm telling
So,
you, I saw you because what you're saying out there is so important. You're not putting your child on a pedestal. My kid is trying. You're saying, hey, wait a minute. I have an autistic kid who has
mhm,
X, Y, and Z, and this is what's happening. And I'm telling you, you are going to help so many parents out there who are also struggling and don't understand how to navigate this
I hope so.
space. You are.
I
I'm,
hope.
I'm just going to tell you. I already know it. So that being said, these people don't know what they're talking about. Infantilizing. The people with trans kids are the ones infantilizing their
Yes,
kids. You're being honest about
and
what's
they're
going on.
literally infantilizing because
They
those who
are.
are putting them on puberty blockers and estrogen are stopping their brain development where it's at. They're
That's
never
right.
going to mature,
Never. Never.
and they are going to be teenagers for life.
There you go.
We're,
Smart. That's right. That's people. Like, what are we doing
yeah.
here? Like, you'll get kids might have dysphoria. I was probably one of those kids, but they're not trans kids. You're immediately
Mhm.
shoving them into a box when you do stuff. We need to have
I
diagnoses.
I had gender dysphoria when I was a kid. So
Probably. Yeah.
I had I was,
Yeah.
oh, Buck, I wanted to be a boy so bad, like all the
Right?
rest of my
There you go.
friends. I
There
got
you
to
go.
play a boy when I was 14 in the school play, and I was never happier. I
Right
got to
on.
bind myself up and hide my hair and do all sorts of stuff. That was
Right
the
on.
greatest thing ever. And I was like, as I said, I was not a girl in stereotypes. So I
Yeah.
had all guy friends. I was playing out in the woods with my hammers and my axes and cutting down trees and building forts and we were doing sports card trading and
That's
all sorts of other stuff that was like I every time my mom tried to buy I have a picture of me with this miserable face when my mom tried to buy me Barbies the year the year that I asked for a baseball and glove set.
excellent. There you
So
go.
it was
You
like,
just
don't give
proved
me
it.
dolls.
It's
So it
so
was like
dumb.
it was horrible. And so I was in karate, which my mom pulled me out of because I was the only girl. So
Wow.
I was horrified. I
Wow.
I played sports. I did all of these things,
Yep.
and it was something that I was not. I did not fit in with
Yeah.
most of the girls that I knew. And then when I got older, I was like, okay, well, this isn't so bad because it kind of makes me different.
There you go.
And even now, I can't watch a rom com. I can't. It annoys me. It annoys me. Give me everything that
Me
blows
too.
up.
Me
if we're
too.
blowing things, see, if it's blowing things up,
And
then
look
I'm
at you.
good.
You're not
Yeah,
trans. You're
I'm
totally a
not.
lady. You
Yeah,
walk the world that way. That's why we have to have more people speaking up about growing up and feeling a certain way and then just literally growing. I always say, shouldn't we be helping these kids get out of dysphoria? I feel like when we
yes,
label them trans, we're putting them right into dysphoria forever and
yeah.
medicalizing and all the things that I made as an adult and no one can say anything to me. But I
They're
will not.
impressionable.
That's
Yeah, they're so
it's
impressionable
just
that they.
absurd. It's actually to me anti-trans not to talk about it and not to sort of try to help these
It
kids.
is.
Yeah,
All of this is anti-trans. The whole movement
that's
is
right. It
anti-trans because
totally
it's
is.
erasing what it means.
That's
What it
so true.
means is to have that mental disorder that you can't help, that
That's right.
have clear symptoms,
That's right.
and they're just going. Trans is now a costume
Yep. Pretty much.
instead
Pretty
of a
much.
mental disorder,
It's
and
an identity.
it makes me sad and angry for
Oh,
all of you
thank you.
because I see that and I'm like, oh my god, they're insulting you every single
They
day.
are. And it's because now it's an identity choice, right? It's just not
Yeah,
an identity. I don't live in my
No, you did not
disorder.
choose it.
No, God,
This
no.
is
I
not
keep saying
something that
that.
you chose. This is something that happened to you,
That's right.
and you had to deal with it in the best way you could to alleviate your anxiety.
Yes, Dr. May. I interviewed Dr. Julia Mason, the pediatrician, who's full on
Yes,
against. She's
yes,
amazing, and that she said this profound thing. She said, "Trans is something you do. It's not what you are. It's like,
yes,
duh, you're transitioning. You don't live in
yes,
that space." And these kids are being told so many insane things. So, and and people like your kid get sucked into it, and then it's just like you have to unravel this mess that they're putting, him in, and making him feel, I think, on some level, even more um, uncomfortable with himself because they're now layering on to these autistic kids all these other things that they have to think about and deal with. What would you say, before we're going to go here, but what would you say to somebody, or a parent maybe, or maybe someone who's struggling with the same thing you kind of are struggling with?
I would say definitely look and figure out what your child's symptoms are. Find
Mm,
out exactly what they're going through,
mm,
whether what they're anxious about their body, what's going on.
mm.
If they'll talk to you about those things,
Right.
and talk to you about what upsets them the most and why they are saying that they want to be this way, and then actually look up the symptoms of gender dysphoria and really
Ah,
learn it
yeah.
and understand it, and make some trans friends online, the
Yeah.
transsexual people. Listen, watch as many of those as you can for videos.
Right.
Watch Buck all the time.
Yeah.
um, and so all of these things are important because it helps you learn what it actually is as to
Yeah.
what it isn't, and then that way
Great.
you can help your kid with whatever else it might be.
Great. You're such an awesome parent. You're also an awesome human. And I just really value your friendship. And let's fight this together and
I
get
agree,
back
we
to
need to.
normal. We have to. If we
Yes,
don't, me and you don't come together and understand the detriment this can
I
be.
saw you on my friend Russell's show, Do Dissidents.
Oh, right
So
on. Good
I
people. Good
I t-
people.
I told him I was talking to you today, and he
Oh,
was like,
sweet. Tell them
"Oh, that's
hi.
wonderful. I will. I
That's
will."
so sweet. You're awesome. And
He
everyone.
is fighting the good fight
Oh,
too.
there's a lot of us really more kind of
Yes.
coming up here, and we see what's going on. And I realize some people can't stand up, but you being present today and putting yourself out there means a lot to me, and means a lot to, I think, a lot of
Thank you.
parents and people who need to see this. It's not just one sided. There's a lot going on here, and I love when people like you step up and are willing to talk about your private life, because it's your private life, and but you will
It's
help.
scary, but
It's
yeah.
scary, but you're a powerhouse. You're a powerhouse, and I'm here for you, not only
Thank
as a
you.
friend but also as a mouthpiece that can help to amplify
I
this.
appreciate
So,
that very
with that,
much.
my friends, thanks so much for watching. Leave Courtney tons of love. She really stepped up to the plate. And if you have questions, I'll put information here, and we'll see if she has places you can reach out to her. Probably your Twitter, or I'm sorry,
My
your ex,
Twitter,
your
yeah,
ex.
my Twitter.
Yeah,
Uh,
right on,
I
right on.
I'm not even sure what my Twitter handle is, to be honest with you.
I don't. I'll find it. You don't worry
Yeah,
about that.
you'll
You'll be
find it.
inundated.
Put it in the chat somewhere or something.
I'll put it down there. But anyway, thanks everybody. Like, subscribe, ring the bells, send this to all your friends, and I'll see you on the live this week. Right on.